We're going to talk about interference from outsiders and whatever else the Lord decides to give me to share. So the first thing I want to discuss is understanding our biblical obligation, responsibility, and priority to the individual, to our spouses, no matter what. The words, the vows that we take in the beginning when it says for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health. And then we say, I do. When you say I do, you signed up for no matter what happens, no matter what you go through, no matter how difficult it gets. We are to do our very best to endure. We are to go along the trials and tribulations, the struggles, and forgive through them, love through them, grow through them, be delivered from some really difficult things that have attached to us. There's some separation that takes place when we say I do. Separation meaning we are no longer with our families. We are now in a union with our spouse. Okay? It's God, spouse, children, ministry, then everybody else. And a lot of times that's not what's happening. Give you an example. When I met my husband, he knew I was sick. And yet he decided to marry me because he fell in love with me. Not for any other reason other than he loved me. And I loved him. So we did what we did. We didn't tell anybody for a whole year. We didn't know how to tell the kids. It may not make sense to you guys, but we didn't know how to tell our children. When you go through life and people give their input about things, and sometimes they affect your children. Things are said to your children should never be said, but they are. So we had those type of issues that had arose. So it was a little complicated, but nonetheless, we were married, we were in love, and it was going to stay that way. And it did for 20 years. It did till death did us part. Okay? It could have very well been me dying and him still being here. But that wasn't what the Lord decided. He decided to take me through my journey and allow my husband to love me through it, to nurture me through it, to care for me through it, to provide for me through it, to care for our children. He just, that's what he did, and he did a beautiful job. He was a good husband. Yes. We had our problems. Every marriage have their problems. I've never professed that we didn't have any issues. Never. Because we did. But I will tell you this, that when you are married, it would behoove both of you to keep your business in the house. Unless you're talking to someone that is going to encourage you, that is going to pray for you, with you, that is going to try and help you sort through and save your marriage. If they're offering anything other than that, you are talking to the wrong person. And most of the time, we are. Most of the time, we are. Everybody is not happy to see you happy. Everybody is not pleased to see you with someone. Your family sometimes wishes you with someone else, one of their friends, one of their whatever. They hope for this, they hope for that. They're wishing that you and the ex get back together. That kind of stuff on both sides. That's just real life. But when two consenting adults, sane adults, people in their right mind, understand taking on such a covenant of marriage. They need to learn, if they don't already have it, that unity, that union is not to be interfered with under any circumstance by anybody. By anybody. Okay? And when people interfere, and I don't care who don't like me saying this, check them and move on. They have no place in your marriage. No place in your marriage. Especially the negative stuff. Okay? The one thing I never had to worry about, and I praise God for it, is my parents and my brothers never interfered in my marriage. I don't care what was going on. I don't care what the issues were. They didn't take sides. They may have felt a certain way about a whole lot of stuff, but they didn't bring that to me because they respected the marriage. My parents been married for 57 years. Brothers for 30 or 31 years. And me and my husband, almost 20 years. So there's longevity there. There's understanding. There's respect there. We understand what marriage is. We understand unity. We understand what our obligations are. We understand just how to endure, how to respect the marriage, how to respect others' privacy, others, going through. They know how to pray as opposed to getting all up in your business, sending you emails and just crazy stuff, calling you while you at work and telling you should leave them and all that extra. It's just unreal, the things that grown people do. Old people, not kids. Old people did this because they didn't like something or they didn't like somebody. That's not the way it goes. And I promise you, when people get involved like that, God deals with them. He deals with them because they have no right. But when you open yourself up like that and you begin to tell your business and to display any form of unhappiness or any mention of divorce, things like that, people are waiting on that. They feed off of that. Never do that. Never do that. If you feel that, talk to God. Because I'll tell you what happens. You've released something into the atmosphere to some people that have been sitting back applauding. Yay, they're getting a divorce. When you know that you're not going nowhere. You know that perhaps you're the one that did something wrong. And they don't know because they don't know all three sides to the story. They don't know my side, his side, and then the truth, which is God. Okay? They're just listening to that one little entity and they're drawing a conclusion and then they're giving their input. Stop doing that because there's consequences to you interfering in people's marriages. Okay? Enough of that. When you have a spouse that gets ill while you're married, I don't care what your problems have been in the past. The first thing that needs to take place, and this should be in the marriage period, but the first thing that needs to take place when something arises, like you get somebody's terminal, you don't know how long they're going to be there, despite what the doctors are saying. You don't know because only God knows. You need to come to a place of peace. And the only way you're going to get to that place of peace, is if you both truly come to one another and lay everything on the table and talk it out in love and compassion and forgiveness. I mean, true forgiveness, not that sugar-coated, conditional, sarcastic stuff. I'm talking about from the depths of your heart, that you stand before that person and you ask them with your heart, please forgive me. Please forgive me. And yeah, it may be done in a sense of desperation because you realize stuff just got real, but it's so important for what's ahead for you to do that. It is so important for you to take the time, examine yourself, talk to God, and say, Lord, what do I need to say? What do I need to ask forgiveness for? Whatever it is. I don't care if you have to go through every little thing you think you did wrong. It doesn't matter. Because I promise you, when somebody tells you that your spouse or you are about to die, nothing in the whole world matters at that point. Nothing, nobody, nothing. And you got two choices. You can forgive them and love them and spend that beautiful time with them and help them, care for them, nurture them, pray for them, hold them, whatever it is, feed, just whatever it is that you can do to make their time, their life okay, to give them peace, security in their mind, security in their hearts, that you're not going to take out on them what you've been through years prior or however long prior, because there may have been some offenses that took place and you haven't gotten over them. But the time is like right now when you need to be done with it, and you need to understand that this person may leave here. Is it really that serious? And it's not. I promise you it's not. Any person that have been married and truly love their spouse, despite what they've been through, would give anything to have that spouse right now. Right now. Because that is, when God gives you someone, that's who you desire. That is, when you know it's ordained by God, all the bull goes out the door. It do. When life get real, it goes out the door. I can't tell you how many times, I heard, please forgive me, please forgive me. Every time we'd hear something, Iva not doing well, or the doctors are saying this amount of time, and and each time I embraced it because I knew they meant it from their soul, and I knew that was a way of them showing that they loved me, and it wasn't just that they said it; it was in the action. Okay. The actions prove that they meant it. We are to nurture. We are to care for. We are to never, ever, ever make a person feel like because you're sick now and you can't do nothing for yourself, this is the prime opportunity for me to get you back for what you've done. The devil is a liar. And I promise you, anybody, woman, man, that does this, God gonna get you. God is gonna, you think, boy, look at here. You don't want that. You do not want to do that. Don't you ever take the opportunity because somebody is down to hurt them. That is not of God.